right. Welcome in, Patriots, my America First Patriots. Welcome into Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher. We are in our second ever live episode. And thank you for joining me on this Friday night, November 21st. We have now shifted our schedule to where we're going to start live streaming all of our episodes here on Rumble, exclusively on Friday nights. And then we'll edit the video and post them on YouTube on Saturday. And we're not live streaming to X anymore. We'll post the edited video over to X as well. But Rumble is going to be our exclusive platform for live streaming. I see we got some people already joining in the chat below. Thank you so much for joining in. Let me know where you're joining from. Send this to a friend. Send this to a left-wing lunatic to trigger them. Send it to your mom. Send it to your dad. Send it to a loved one. Send it to a coworker, a group chat. Send it to everyone right now. Well, again, just want to welcome you back to Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher. Tonight is a heavy one, kind of crazy week, especially since we pushed off our show until Friday night. Lots happening. The headlines are wild, and there are cracks that are in the system that are starting to show now more than ever. You know, from the Epstein files countdown to that H-1B visa scam. We have the Civil War still raging on and intensifying quite a lot inside of the right, MAGA. We have Saudi Arabia buying up influence in Washington, D.C. We'll be breaking down the truth with zero corporate spin, bringing straight talk right to you tonight. And we'll be reacting to some viral clips of ICE officers in Charlotte, North Carolina, checking out the SNAP benefits chaos that exploded this past week. And after all that, we'll be bringing it close to home to check out some local spotlights. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. Some crazy stuff just rolled into my desk as we were preparing for tonight's show. And then, of course, we always have to break down some scripture in our favorite segment, Faith in the Fire. So if you haven't yet, go ahead, smash that like button, hit subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for many further announcements. We'll be dropping some merch very soon. And be sure to drop some gifts in the chat tonight. We really appreciate all of your support. 100% of your proceeds from those gifts and subscriptions will go right back into the podcast. So again, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, for interacting in the chat. Couldn't do this without you. Let's get right into it. All right, we got the number one headline of the week is the Epstein files. That 30-day countdown clock has kicked off. Trump signed this Epstein Files Transparency Act on November 19th. And what does that mean now that it's signed? Well, it means that Attorney General Pam Bondi, if you don't know who she is, she has 30 days now to release every unclassified DOJ document. She has to make it searchable within a database, available to the public without any excuses. We saw this past week, Marjorie Taylor Greene, we saw Thomas Massie and others on the steps of the Capitol with victims calling on Congress to make sure that they released these files. We saw victims in the gallery cheering whenever it passed. It passed first, obviously, in the House of Representatives. And then that same day, they got it to the Senate and it passed. I've never seen a bill pass that quickly. And so for once in Washington, D.C., for once, finally, they acted like America deserves the truth. And we do deserve the truth. We, the people, always deserve the truth. America first and America only. We want to go ahead and pull up some clips here. I see our producer, Nick. Give a big shout out to Nick in the chat. He's been a great help to the show, being able to get things organized. Let's go ahead and add this here. Let's see if we can get this going. This is Donald Trump's Truth Social post about the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Said Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times? My eyes are killing me. Yeah, 26 times. Larry Summers, who just resigned. Yes, he just resigned, if you didn't hear about that, from many boards, including the Harvard board. Sleazebag politician activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Jeffrey Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged with sex trafficking crimes. We had Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett and many, many more. I'm just going to skip down here. Said, I've just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass the bill in the House and Senate, respectively, because of this request. And skipping down further, we see the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to the Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever speak out about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issues, which affect them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax cuts in history, so on and so forth. As you see there, President Trump had a lot to say about the Epstein Files Transparency Act bill that hit his desk. Lots to say. Blaming the Democrats, pointing the finger at the Democrats. All the while, if we can pull that up, Nick, I don't think I actually had it included in the clips or anything that I gave you, but if we can find the email about Bubba, I'd love to throw that up, but I don't know if you can find that fast enough. Sorry. But yeah, I'll just keep talking, give him a few minutes there to see if he can find that email. But Trump had tons to say, and to be honest, this last week, watching his Truth Social posts, they've been getting longer and longer, rantier and rantier, and guiltier sounding. He's been trying to deflect and point the finger. Don't know necessarily why, but it might have something to do with this email. Look at that. Does Putin have the video of Trump blowing Bubba? Blowing Bubba, eh? Oh my goodness. You know, chat, let me know what you think about this email. Do you think it's real? Do you think it is a Democrat hoax, a left-wing lunatic hoax trying to... Who is Bubba? Bubba is Bill Clinton. So, in the Epstein files, Bill Clinton is referred to many times as Bubba. And so, what a lot of people are alluding to here from this email is that Putin has a video clip of Trump blowing Bill Clinton. Now, this is all allegedly, right? I don't want to get in trouble here. I don't want to make any false statements. But this is quite incriminating because it doesn't say, it's not saying Donnie or some type of nickname that could maybe mean Trump, right? It literally says Trump blowing Bubba. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Nick. These are amazing. It literally says Trump blowing Bubba. Now, again, this is all alleged. We have no idea what's going on. Are these photos real or is this AI? Don't know. Bubba and Don, look at this. Oh man, just a cute couple there.
Little ditty about Bubba and Trump. Two political rivals that got it on when the lights were off.
Wow, dude. This is some wild stuff coming across the X timeline. But yeah, this is quite incriminating stuff for Trump if it's true. Now, from what I've heard, it's not real. The emails are fake. I can't substantiate any of these claims, but it's funny to think about. It's funny to talk about, pontificate, quite the image there in my head and probably in yours as well of Trump blowing Bubba. And thanks to our amazing producer for pulling up those photos so that we could get the perfect mental image of Trump blowing Bubba. Throw that up one more time. There we go. Just look at that. Are these photos real? Let me know in the chat. Real photos, real video? We have yet to find out. We will know. Blowing Bubba. There we go. Well, our next headline. Important story. Very, very important story that happened earlier this week is, I've been calling it the American Crusade. Dearborn, Michigan. If you have not seen what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan this past week, there was a protest. It was supposed to be a free speech march, and it actually ended up turning into a full-scale riot. We had crosses being lifted by these protesters. We had these protesters trying to burn Qurans. And then we had some counter-protesters, some Muslims counter-protesting these Christians coming in and protesting. It's a lot of protesting here happening. We got the Christians protesting Islam, and then the Muslims protesting Christians coming in protesting Islam, right? Lots of protesting. And we got a few clips that we'll take a look at here in a second. But we had a lot of chaos happening throughout the couple days that there were journalists and protesters in Dearborn, Michigan. We had violent attacks against Christians who are peacefully marching, exercising their right to free speech in Dearborn to protest Muslim extremism, burning Qurans, slapping Qurans with bacon, just doing some, kind of shock and awe kind of stuff. Streaming, they're all streaming, so they're trying to shock some people. And I want to just show you some stuff here about the guy who organized this protest. This was before the protest. This clip that we have pulled up. This is Jake Lang. Some are calling a Zionist psyop. And I don't like to use that word Zionist because it can mean so many different things. It can mean a good thing, and it can mean people who are calling for genocide. And so, I'm not going to label him that necessarily, but he could be an Israeli spy psyop planted, is what the consensus among some are. Now, the consensus comes a lot from left-wing Muslims who I can't seem to align myself with, obviously. And so let's check this clip out here of Jake Lang. If you could... oh my God, we'll have our
hope. Jesus is king. No Talmud. No
That's right.
America's a Christian country.
Oh my God, we'll have So this video was the teaser to get everyone to come to the protest, right? He was burning a Talmud and he was burning a Quran and saying Christ is king. And Christ is king. He's the only king. There is no other king but Jesus. There is no God except the Father. There's only one book that's true. This right here, the Bible. The Quran is a false book. Islam is a false religion. Muhammad was a pedophile. He's dead and he's burning in hell today. Jesus is alive. He's seated on the right hand of the Father. Christ is king. Getting a little fired up about this, but Nick, we got some more clips that we want to show of the Dearborn protests. And so let's go ahead, pull those up. Let's throw here.
I have a question for you guys. If America were to get in a war with a country like Iraq, who would you guys defend, America or Iraq?
We won't get in a war. That's not permissible for us. But at the same time,
Who would you defend first?
we would support our brothers in Iraq. That's the only way.
So you wouldn't defend America?
We would not defend America.
But you're American.
But at the same time, listen.
Wow.
At the same time, America is our country because we were born here. But in our Islamic book, we're not allowed to fight with people that are against our religion. So we just take up the jail time.
So you would
That's
not.
what we do.
So you would not defend America.
I would go to jail instead of fighting for America.
And who would you defend if we were to go to war against a country like Iraq again, America or Iraq?
America.
And should that be a troublesome
Amen.
conflict of interest for somebody to be here in America that would rather support another nation like Iraq?
Anybody who supports another nation needs to live in that nation. This is a Christian nation. A lot of the Constitution is based off of the Bible. And oh how far the country has fallen.
There we go. Well, we saw some Muslim counter protesters who were there to agitate the Christians who had planned this demonstration. And when asked if we were to go to war with Iraq again, who would you support? Would you support Iraq or would you support America, the country you live in, the country that's made your life great, the country that made your life easier, the country that doesn't have Sharia law, that has freedom and free choices and lets you worship freely? You know what they said? You heard it. They would support Iraq. Can you believe that? We got to get them out of here. Get out. You do not belong in America. You are going to support a foreign nation over the country that's welcomed you in. Most of these folks in Dearborn, Michigan are Palestinians, Palestinian refugees who've been welcomed into this country because of the chaos that's happening in their region. And they have the audacity to say that they would go and support a foreign nation over America. Not on my watch. Not in my America. Get them out of here. And I don't want you to think, hearing this, that I don't believe in freedom of religion. I believe in freedom of religion. We have to have freedoms. Liberty is one of the great values of America. But we cannot tolerate extremism. We cannot tolerate folks who want to take over America with Islam, with Sharia law, like is trying to happen in Texas. We can't let that happen. This is a Christian nation. Read all of the founding documents. They use terms of Christianity, biblical terms. They refer to the Bible. They refer to God, the Christian God, not Allah, not Buddha. Jesus, God, the only God. That's who they refer to. And so you got the audacity. Again, who do you think you are? Get out of my America. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Man, getting fired up about these Dearborn clips. Speaking of fired up, if you've been paying any attention to the conservative civil war that's been going on, you might say Isaiah, why do you have this MAGA hat still on your shelf? And you know, I have asked myself that question. Should I keep this on the shelf? And for now, I am keeping it on the shelf. Not because everything that President Trump does is right. Not because everyone who's in the MAGA movement I agree with, no. But I do believe in the statement, "Make America Great Again," along with the statement, "America First." And that's why I have this hat here. And so when I say, is MAGA dead? Is MAGA dead? I mean, has America First taken over? Have we pushed to the side everyone who is Israel first, everyone who is war machine focused, and instead we want to focus on the natural born citizens? We want to deport illegal immigrants. We want to create jobs for Americans that were born in America, that didn't move here. That's what's happening in the conservative movement right now. That's what's happening. We have Nick Fuentes, who's breaking down some barriers. And I know some of you listening might say, Nick Fuentes, why would you support someone like that? And hey, I can't say that I agree with everything that Nick Fuentes says. But you know what? I can't agree with everything anyone says. I can't agree with everything that President Trump says. I can't agree with everything my pastor says, my friends say. And so you have to focus on the things that really matter. And if you listen, similar to Alex Jones with Nick Fuentes, if you just try to ignore some of the craziness that is for the show, right, and truly listen to him, a lot of the things that he's saying are good. Now, there's things that he's said recently that I'm not so sure about, but the idea of getting back to America first and putting no foreign countries ahead of our own, I can get on board with that. And now, the thing that I don't know if I can get on board with, we're going to watch a clip here. I think it's a couple minutes long. Thing that I don't know if I can get on board with is his call to the far left and the far right to band together to take on the oligarchy. Or as Bernie Sanders would say, the oligarchy. We got to take the oligarchy on. And so we got it. You know, he wants to take this far left, this far right, band together against the moderate right, the moderate left, saying, you'll see in the clip, he's saying that we have to, you know, give up some things on both sides. And let's see really what Nick has to say about this. And then we'll break it down. And I want to hear you guys' reactions in the chat as well. So let's check this out.
And we played this game in the first term. We're 10 years in. And you still have these people, I hate to say it, but they're just like in denial. And they're like, okay, everybody, let's all go on Twitter and let's tell Trump, don't screw over your voters. Okay. Hey, Trump, don't hire John Radcliffe in the CIA. Like, what are we doing? We lost. It's over. The time to make demands was during the election when he needed the votes. He's a lame duck president. He doesn't need anything from us. He's not even on Twitter. He's on Truth Social. So what are you talking about? We're going to all rally and tell him, don't hire yet another neocon? Forget it. We tried that. I'm not playing that game anymore. Trump sold us out. He is the problem. He's cooked. And you know what? Look, I'm not saying damn him to hell. I think he's a net positive. His movement was necessary, but it was never the end all be all. He's a patriot. God bless him. But here's the point. He was never the end all be all. He was always a John the Baptist. He was always a prefigurement of what will come in the future. But people forgot that along the way. They thought we really were playing for like Heritage America and like whatever. Trump was a stepping stone towards America First, white identity, towards a true nationalism, true revanchism. He was always a stepping stone. He did his part. God bless him. He created me. He created so much of this, but he was never the end all be all. He's on his way out. We just need to be realistic about it and not in denial and not coping and not having these delusions that, you know, we have to wrest control over the shit from Trump using our Twitter accounts. It ain't going to happen. This is why I say the real battle is 2028.
All right, we heard from Nick Fuentes there on President Trump and his reaction to what's been going on and the death of MAGA and how, and just like he said, as I was saying, he doesn't want to do away completely with President Trump. There's a net positive to have President Trump, but you know, a lot of conversations that I've been having about President Trump is that this presidency is so different. It's like night and day difference from his first presidency. Because in his first presidency, I think, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but it's like 70 something million dollars, I think he had on his own to fund his own campaign. And something that I've been talking with a lot of folks about recently is that this campaign was funded by donors. And so anytime you take donor money, anytime you take investor money, anything like that in business, you know, they're going to ring, 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 ring. Oh, hey, yeah, I saw that you said something bad about Fox News, but we gave you $3 million for your campaign, so you need to go and retract that statement. Don't ever say anything bad again. Ring, ring, ring. Oh, hey, we saw that you criticized Israel, and through AIPAC, we gave you $200 million, and so you can't say anything negative about Israel again, okay? That's the problem. That's what's going on, and that's what Nick is talking about, is the difference now from the difference in 2016. It's not self-funded, it's donor-funded. You know, and whether you like Nick Fuentes or not, you know, the Overton window just got kicked wide open this past week. You know, we got some reactions from the president even. So I know Nick's pulling up a clip right now of President Trump actually reacting to Nick Fuentes. I see him scrolling there, trying to get scrolling so quickly. I'm probably giving him a heart attack right now. But what he's pulling up is that clip of Nick Fuentes. And so if you're just joining in right now, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, throw some gifts in the chat. 100% of our proceeds goes right back into the show. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you. And I know Nick is frantically trying to find that clip of Trump. How about that Chuck Schumer tweet? We can at least throw that up if we have that. Oh, here we go.
Carlson recently had a friendly interview with anti-Semite Nick Fuentes. Tucker Carlson. What role do you think Tucker Carlson should play in the Republican Party and the conservative movement going forward?
Well, I found him to be good. I mean, he said good things about me over the years. I think he's good. We've had some good interviews. I did an interview with him. We had 300 million hits. You know that. Look, I can't tell him. Will you let me finish my sentence? You are the worst. You're with Bloomberg, right? You are the worst. I don't know
Quiet,
why
piggy.
they even have you. We've had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
You yourself had dinner with Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. What role should he play in the conservative movement?
Well, I didn't know he was coming, and he was with, as you know, somebody, Kanye. And Kanye asked if he could have dinner, and he brought Nick. I didn't know Nick at the time. And he did. He came, and along with a few other people. He brought a few people with him. Meeting people, talking to people, like for somebody like Tucker, that's what they do. People are controversial. Some are, some aren't. I'm not controversial, so I like it that way.
Well, we heard from President Trump there reacting to Nick Fuentes on Tucker Carlson's podcast. Asked, what do you think about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes? And after that podcast, we saw an explosion from the right, a rift start to get pulled apart because the right started to cancel free speech on one side. And then on the other side, we had folks standing up for this free speech. And now we even, we don't have anything here to show you, but you can find it yourself. Pierce Morgan, Steven Crowder, all these people want to have Nick Fuentes on their show now. And I think that President Trump did a great job here, kind of leveling the field so that everyone can understand, hey, meeting people, talking to people, like he said, it's good. He should talk. Get the word out, like he said. You want to get the word out. And so that's what President Trump had to say about Nick Fuentes. And we also had a reaction from the left, quite the opposite. Let's check this out.
And finally, on anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism in America has reached a dangerous tipping point. Jewish Americans are facing threats, harassment, and violence at levels we have not seen in generations. And as I have said many times in this chamber, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine. Where there's anti-Semitism, there lurks white supremacy and other pernicious forms of hate. Well, 3 days ago, the President of the United States declined to condemn Nick Fuentes' hateful views and defended Tucker Carlson's decision to give Fuentes a platform. The president was asked about his thoughts on the interview. He declined to condemn Nick Fuentes. That is disgusting. For Donald Trump to excuse and protect the spread of Nick Fuentes' ideology confirms what many of us have long said. White supremacy and anti-Semitism are taking deep roots, unfortunately, within the Republican Party. Just as we saw from the leaked texts of young Republicans, just as we saw from text messages of administration officials, the Nick Fuentes saga on the right reveals that anti-Semitism and white supremacy have been growing with disturbing currency within the right wing and within the right wing of the Republican Party. But I know this is not true of everyone on the Republican side, especially not for many Republicans in this chamber. Therefore, I will soon lead a resolution here in the Senate rejecting Nick Fuentes and his white supremacist views, condemning Carlson's platforming of hate, and condemning anti-Semitism and white supremacy wherever and whenever it occurs. In the coming days, I will work to grow support for my resolution so the Senate can take a clear stand against hatred and anti-Semitism. I hope my Republican colleagues will join me in this effort and co-sponsor this resolution. Calling out anti-Semitism should not be a partisan issue. In fact, when we refuse to condemn anti-Semitism, when we stay silent and fail to reject anti-Semitic rhetoric, when we normalize hateful figures spewing disgusting anti-Semitism, that is when anti-Semitism spreads throughout society like a poisonous wildfire. Americans don't want to see that happen, so my resolution will give every single senator, a chance to make an important stand against hatred. The country must see us unite and fight this awful form of bigotry.
Wow, quite the opposite response from President Trump there from the left. We saw the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying he's actually going to introduce a resolution to condemn Nick Fuentes and to condemn Tucker Carlson. Thank God Joe Biden is not the president anymore, because this kind of left-wing lunatic crap would have flown right through the House, flown right through the Senate, and gone right to his desk, and he would have passed it right away because of the auto pen machine. They didn't even need him. He could have been on a beach bathing somewhere, passed out, and they could pass this resolution and get it through. Thank God he's not the president. Thank God President Trump is the president, and he would never let something like this go through. He'd probably veto it, hopefully, if there's something that gets further along, he has that power to veto. And I just think censoring anyone just because you don't agree with them is wrong. Now, if you're calling for violence, I can understand that, but Nick Fuentes is not calling for any violence against the Jewish people. Never once have I heard him say we need to burn down synagogues. Have never seen him outside of a synagogue like all these Muslims are trying to attack people. And so, Chuck Schumer, if you're going to introduce any resolution, you know what you need to do is you need to introduce the resolution to ship these Muslims out of here, these radical Muslims that aren't born here. You need to get them out of here. Where President Trump's working on that, thankfully, but you're an idiot, Chuck Schumer, for even thinking that anything like this would ever pass in the Senate. Just an idiot. Speaking of Muslims, this past week in the White House, we had a couple visits go down, a couple big visits, first of which was the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman got the full royal treatment at the White House. They rolled out the red carpet. They had a flyover of jets as he got out of the motorcade. Deals of F-35s were on the table. There's nuclear cooperation between the nations. Rare earth mineral agreements were signed, and Trump is calling him a great protector of human rights. Interesting. Well, we got some clips here of Mohammed bin Salman in the White House. Let's see what we got. Is this just a post here? Let me see this. From Axios. That's right. So this is a post from Axios where the breakdown happens. Diaz hopes for progress during MBS White House visit next week. Saudi demands a U.S. defense pact. Saudi officials say they still need stronger, irreversible commitments from Israel to sell normalization to a public that is far more anti-Israel after the Gaza war. Bottom line, Washington believes it has delivered on Saudi demands. Now it's pressing Riyadh and Israel to move. We can see there they were preparing well. Do we have any clips of him at the White House getting out of his vehicle? I thought we had some. Let's see here. Because when he got out, again, they rolled out the red carpet for this guy. This is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. They gave him tons of royal treatment, a VIP experience, dinner with Elon Musk and Cristiano Ronaldo. They did it all for this guy. Everything. And really, the problem that I have is that, you know, Saudi Arabia is the biggest, one of the biggest. Not the biggest. I think Japan is the biggest, but Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest foreign agents that's registered with FARA that lobbies the U.S. government. And so this is kind of concerning to see something like this here. You mind clicking that picture and making it bigger? There we go. Look at this. They got the Saudi flag, basically the same height as the American flag. Trump's like, "What's up, buddy?" See, they got the jets flying over for him. Flying over the White House, taking a tour. Now, I will say something funny is that they stopped at Joe Biden's auto pen photo. Quite humorous, I thought. But again, getting back to the point here, why this is concerning is because Saudi Arabia is one of the largest lobbying governments in the United States. And now they're investing $1 trillion to create jobs in America. So is this America first? Is this really America first? Or is this Saudi Arabia first? Is this Middle East first? Because why are we giving so much access to these foreign governments to lobby our government to put their interests ahead of our interests? It needs to be America first, America only. America first, America only. And so here's the philosophical battle right now inside of America first because of this. Is this Trump, the deal maker securing jobs and leverage over China? Is that what he's doing here? Or, like I said, is this Saudi first? Foreign money buying influence while our heartland, our country gets left behind? Chat, I want your honest take. I'm seeing some reactions in the chat. I want your honest take, chat. Let me know. Do you think this is America first or Saudi first type of deal? Speaking of America first, something that has been erupting in the right and the left is the H-1B scam. We don't have to play that clip, Nick. I see you pulling up. We don't have to play that clip. We're going to move forward just for sake of time. This H-1B scam. It's still continuing to split MAGA right down the middle. We saw President Trump this past week on Laura Ingraham. We'll watch that in a minute here where, he says, "Laura, we don't have any talent here for missile factories and all that," right? And she fired right back that H-1B suppress wages. Let the Chinese spy. Let Israelis spy. Let the Russians spy, right? And something else that happened is on the Will Cain show from Fox News, he did a great breakdown of this H-1B scam and how they're stealing American jobs. Let's check out this clip from Will Cain.
What is an H-1B visa? Follow me over to the wall. H-1B visas are a mechanism of legal immigration that is supposed to bring in skilled workers into the United States. They allow for U.S. employers to hire foreign professionals in specialty occupations. What are those occupations? Well, they're mostly in the fields of tech, engineering, medicine, finance, IT. It requires that a bachelor's degree accompany that worker or higher education in a specified field. Now, here's how it works. An employer sponsors a foreign worker, and they can sponsor that visa for up to 3 years and then extend it to 6 years. Workers can apply for permanent residency later. There is a visa cap, 85,000 new visas each year. Now, of those 85,000, those are only new visas. new H-1Bs. About 400,000 every year are approved. Most of those are renewals, showing that they don't just stay for 3 years, but are renewed and extended past that time frame. Currently, there are supposedly around 700,000 H-1B visa holders in America. Now, who is coming to this country to take these high-skilled jobs? As I mentioned, STEM fields dominate the occupations, and most of the workers come from India. In fact, 70% of H-1B visa holders come from India. Another 10 to 15% come from China. 80% of H-1B visa approvals are for entry-level or junior-level jobs. That's a little hard to stomach when we hear that we're not talented enough or that we're not skilled enough for these jobs, when you consider that most of these jobs are actually at entry or junior-level jobs. And it's definitely to the benefit of corporations, tech companies that can hire foreign workers, trust me on this, cheaper than American workers. This is laid out, by the way, by billionaire tech entrepreneur Palmer Luckey.
There's so much H-1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. H-1B abuse is crazy.
And it's not just Silicon Valley. The Labor Department launched at least 175 investigations targeting potential abuses in the H-1B visa program. They alleged some foreign workers with advanced degrees paid less than what the job description said. That, of course, not only deprives American workers of that job, who have to have the going rate, but it drives down wages for visa holders and American workers. What is an H-1B?
Well, we heard right there from Will Kane a perfect breakdown of this H-1B scam. He says, hey, this is a scam to provide cheap labor for the rich tech companies. And these visas that are being given out aren't even for higher level jobs like they're supposed to be. These are for entry level roles that you and I should get, that the American people should be getting. And instead, they're giving it to some Indian who's coming over, some Chinese foreign agent, some Korean, some Russian, some Ukrainian, some Israeli, some Egyptian, some Palestinian, right? Not you, not me, them. They're putting their needs above the American people's needs. You saw from Will Kane's breakdown there how this is a scam for cheap labor, keeps wages down, has a major impact on American workers. That's why we need these reforms, and that's why we need to end H-1B visas, along with other visas that are out there. End them all. Get them out of here. There's entire neighborhoods that are overrun by folks who are H-1B visa holders. It's ridiculous. We need to get them out. Something else that happened this week was another Tucker Carlson interview that's starting to make some noise, make way out in the social media sphere. Maybe not as much noise as the Nick Fuentes interview, but we had Nayland Haley on Tucker Carlson's show. This is Nikki Haley's son. And Nikki Haley is a traditional conservative, quite pro-Israel, as Nick would call a neocon. Tucker might call a neocon as well. And Nayland, her son, just has quite different views from her, as most sons do from their mothers, right? And so I just wanted to take a look at this because Nikki Haley's son is officially more America first than half of Congress now. He's talking on Tucker Carlson's show about why Gen Z is starting to embrace Nick Fuentes. Let's pull up this clip here.
In junior year of high school, nothing significant happened. It was nothing that I saw or anything. It was just I decided I wasn't going to accept just what Con Inc. was giving me. And
what's Con Inc.?
Con Inc. is basically your typical conservative media, very typical Republican, not any sort of nationalist, the type of legal immigration good, illegal bad,
Right.
And it got tiring, and I was like, I don't want to just accept what's given to me, like right in front of me. I want to actually think for myself. And so
did you feel, just to press on a little bit, did you feel that the news outlets that were created for you were never liberal, I guess?
Never. No.
Well, okay.
Thank God.
I wasn't either. But you felt that the news outlets that were like there to serve you were actually maybe not serving you and instead misleading you?
No, of course not. And I absolutely hate the media. I just do. They are, to me, the worst people in the world. They are vultures and blood-sucking leeches who care nothing about the country. They thrive off the destruction of the United States. They have no loyalty to a country, to an ideology, to a people. Only their money and the ratings. And the way that they get that is through sowing division and chaos, because that's how they know people watch them more. That's how they get more money. And so it's very similar to the way the greedy anti-American corporations are, in that they don't care about American values, American identity, American sovereignty, American workers, American people. And therefore, we shouldn't care about them. So some, I assume, are good people, to quote our president.
Okay, I'm glad I asked you that question.
No, I hate them. I really do. And
Can I just say amen loud enough?
Yeah, of course.
Amen. Amen. Wow. How did you figure that out?
I don't know. It's funny. Everyone in my generation who's a conservative started out with the Ben Shapiro owns SJW compilation videos on YouTube. That's what brought it in. It was not even like the values or the talking points, actually, which makes sense why we're leaving it, kind of, because it was never the values. It was just funny. It was just rage bait, That's what drew us in. And now that we were like, hey, wait a minute, why is it that we can't talk about this thing? Or why is it that we're not allowed to criticize this? That's when people started to feel like maybe this isn't allowing us to see the entire picture.
And maybe the point of it was to mislead rather than illuminate.
Right. Exactly.
How old were you when you figured that? I was like 50. So how old were you?
Junior year of high school. What is that? I turned 17, I think.
Really?
So that was, but I of course, I never told anybody my views. And now it's very known that I have different views than my mom, which is also very fun.
Wow. Quite the clip there from Nayland Haley, young conservative who is making some noise again, like I said, on social media because of this interview with Tucker Carlson, where he says he cannot accept what Con Inc. is feeding him. He couldn't take the traditional conservative spoon feeding, and instead he had to think for himself. What a concept. Oh my gosh. He's using his brain for once. And that's how he came to this idea, that the media, the traditional media, is corrupt, that the corporations don't care about the American people, as we just saw with this H-1B scam. They don't care about American sovereignty, American values. They don't care about us. They care about the almighty dollar. That's all they care about. And that's what Nayland's trying to make some noise here with, just like Nick Fuentes is, in helping the broader conservative community understand why are people attracted to this messaging. Because we want natural born citizens to thrive in America. We want the American dream to come back. I want all of my friends to be able to own a home, to have a family, to have the white picket fence, the swing in the front yard, the rocking chairs on the front porch. That's the American dream that we all chase. And right now is just not possible. And that's what young people are seeing, is this affordability crisis, and why we have this right schism, because there's the old traditional neocons, the the old guard, as I like to call them, they say, oh, we are fine with affordability. Everything's okay, right? Let's just let the corporations have the free market. And look where that's led us to. Wages have not increased, but cost of living has increased tenfold in the last 40, 50 years. That's what Nayland Haley is trying to make noise about here. If you're just joining us here, been live for about an hour, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned, like I said earlier, for some further announcements. We'll be dropping some merch very soon. Drop some gifts in the chat. Help support us. That's what that does, is those gifts, those subscriptions there, you can press right now in the Rumble chat by supporting the channel. 100% of those proceeds from you guys goes right back into the podcast to help pay for the softwares that we're running right now, the content, all this stuff. And so, again, thank you for watching. And now our last headline, something that happened today in the White House. We had Kami Mamdani visiting President Trump, who he once again also called a communist who should be deported. We saw him shaking hands together in the White House and talking about affordability. I believe we have a clip here pulled up to react to. So let's check this out.
To Stephen Nelson, he asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask.
So we had quite the awkward moment there where Trump forced Mamdani to admit that he thinks he's a fascist. And instead of beating around the bush, he decided to say, okay, yes, if Trump says it's okay, right? And what is a fascist, right? A fascist is someone who believes in, military regimes, glorifying military power, engaging conquest and expansion through violence, suppression of the opposition, no free speech. They take complete social control, complete economic control over the countries they're dominating. Does that sound like America? Not at all. That sounds like what the progressive Democrats want, though, because that's exactly what they want. They want fascism, socialism in America, communism. That's exactly what they want. Well, we had some other talks in the White House with Kami Mamdani where they're talking about affordability, and I think that Nick has a summary clip here where it summarizes everything that they talked about. We can hear from them now.
City under Mamdani.
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on, tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York. And I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
We saw there Trump feels comfortable now with everything he talked with Mamdani about. They didn't go into a lot of specifics or details. They just talked about we focused on affordability and the crisis and how to make it easier. They didn't really touch on a lot of things that they differ on, or, you know, free buses or anything like that. So it's not going to be some crazy reaction like the media is wanting. As you can see, they're trying to get some infighting going on there. But instead, President Trump is a diplomat. He wants to see New York City thrive. He loves New York City. And so he's going to take the time to meet with communists like Mamdani, shake the hand, and hear what he has to say. That way he can continue to make America great again. That's the only way. That's why he meets with Putin, who people hate. That's why he meets with, the North Korean leader, Kim, right? So for diplomacy, so that he can make America great again and keep America first above these other foreign nations. Now, don't think he's doing that 100% of the time, but he's trying in some areas. Speaking of trying, we have some tryhards, these left-wing lunatics who have been going wild this past week. We've got ICE in Charlotte. We've got SNAP benefits chaos going on. And so before we go any further, let's throw it to our left-wing lunatics pre-roll, Nick.
They're shouting loud but making no sound, chasing their tails round and round. Oh, the chaos never quits. Left-wing lunatics, they're flipping, they're tripping, they're losing it quick. Left-wing lunatics, the world's a certain pushing through the quick. They're shouting.
All right, let me know what you think about that, chat. We love the left-wing lunatics. Just had to make a humorous video to make light of it, right? I love our segment, the left-wing lunatics. We're going to be talking about ICE in Charlotte. We'll be talking about the SNAP benefits chaos, all these left-wing lunatic topics of the week. We're going to jump right into the SNAP benefits chaos, these food stamp warriors, as we've been calling them. And if you've joined before, let's see some food stamp warriors in the chat right now. Food stamp warriors. I want to see it. I got the chat pulled up right in front of me. We got some food stamp warriors in the chat right now, huh? Probably don't have any food stamp warriors in the chat, but let's get some food stamp warriors written out in the chat right now. We're about to check out some of these clips from the food stamp warriors. Quite hilarious, humorous. Just going to make you laugh. Let's see this.
So just a PSA for anybody on EBT that has been paying for your nails, lashes, whatever it may be, with your EBT card, you can no longer do that. No. I just went to go get my nails, lashes, and eyebrows done. Went to go swipe my EBT card, and she tells me they no longer accept that. So not only are they taking away junk food, sugary drinks, they are giving us all a time limit with how long we can be on EBT. Now you can get your nails done with EBT. So I had to use cash out of my pocket for my nails and eyebrows. So now I'm $100 short on my freaking rent that I'm supposed to pay today. They need to figure something out because this is not okay. So
they need to figure. I think you need to figure something out, lady. First of all, what is wrong with your teeth? Jeez, talk about meth mouth. Oh my Lord. This lady does not need to be on. We need to drug test this lady immediately. Meth mouth galore there. She says they need to figure something out. Lady, you need to figure something out. You need to get a better job. You're $100 short on your rent because you can't. I can't pay for my EBT, my lashes or my nails on my EBT anymore. Boo-hoo. What are you talking? I didn't even know that people could do this. You can get your lashes done with your EBT card. What the frick are you talking about? What the hell is going on in America? Excuse my language. But what the hell is going on in America? Where you could take taxpayer dollars and you can go get your lashes done? I tell you what, my wife and I started a business this year, and we've had to make sacrifices to get that business going, to continue going. We made sacrifices. We budget well. We don't have so many luxuries in our life. And this lady who's on Snap is getting her lashes and nails done, and she's mad that she can't do that anymore. Unreal. Ridiculous. That's the definition of a food stamp warrior right there. This next video that we're going to go into, also about the SNAP benefits chaos, I saw today, and it was having me crack up. We're just going to watch a little bit, a couple minutes of it. It's a long clip, 9 minutes long. We are not going to watch the full thing. We're just going to watch a couple minutes of the story. And I just want to see what you guys think about this story from this man. So let's check out this clip here and his reaction to a situation at the store.
So this past Sunday, I had told my wife that I seen a recipe for some chip dip. And I wanted to make me and her some chip dip so we could watch the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was mine and my wife's personal time. This is what we do on Sunday. We like to sit down and have some food, have some drinks, and watch football. So I go over to Walmart, and I was going to Walmart to get 5 items: ground beef, some salsa, cream cheese, shredded cheese, and some potato chips to dip out the chip dip. I got my 5 items, and I walked up to the checkout lane, and here's where the story begins. I got behind a woman that was in her pajamas. Now, I don't know how all of you feel, but when I see someone in public in their pajamas, I think it says so much about their character. I'm sure that you Democrats will have something different to say about that. But when I see someone in their pajamas in a grocery store, I think it says so much about your character. So much. So now that
what do you think, chat? You go to the grocery store in your pajamas?
I realize, oh my God, I wonder, is this getting ready to be one of the normal checkouts that I seem to go through when I always go through the checkout line? First of all, this woman's grocery cart is full. It's overflowing. I mean, it's just full, plumb full. In the front of the cart, she's got a young baby, and the young baby is on an iPad. She's got another young child that's
on an iPad,
leg, holding her hand. She's got, I believe, maybe a teenager. He's got on some Beats headphones, and I don't know if he was listening to music or he was playing games on his iPhone. This woman smelled like someone had taken her clothes and washed them in a marijuana soap. She reeked of marijuana. I mean, she reeked. But she had her nails done. She had the 10-gallon eyelashes on. And she had her hair, she had her hair pulled up in a bonnet. So I'm sure her hair was done as well. And I immediately got to thinking, let me take a look down here and see if she's got on house shoes, because this will say all that I believe that this experience is getting ready to say. And sure enough, I look down and she's got on house shoes. House shoes. This is 11:45 in the morning. And you've got on pajamas and you've got on house shoes and you smell like marijuana and you've got 3 kids.
Okay, Nick, we can take that. Oh my gosh, what a wild story. I thought you guys might get a kick out of that, because It's this guy's just 100% reaction to something he cannot believe. This lady with the overflowing grocery cart, which I don't know about you, but not a lot of people can afford to overflow their grocery cart. And she's using taxpayer money to do that. And on top of that, she's reeking of marijuana as she goes to the store using the taxpayer money. That's why we need reform with SNAP benefits. We need drug testing. And we're already seeing some reform, thank God, with President Trump making everyone reapply. And there's about 2 or 3 million people that are automatically going to start losing their benefits. And so hopefully we see these benefits start getting slashed quickly. But we got some more videos here. Don't want to talk too long on that, but let's throw to this next clip here and see what's going on.
Let me tell y'all something, because the power of the EBT is crazy. It was today, at 30 years old, I'm getting my first EBT card. When you click that button and no cash comes out of you, won't you do it? What? That's a different type of feel. See why y'all be, you feel me? Y'all be acting funny with them little stampy stamps. What? About to be in here eating. Yeah, because this, I'll be back. Give me 90 days. We're about to be sick, okay? It's about to be given, okay? Shout out to my city for giving me my stamps. Because, yeah, your girl needed it and didn't even know she needed it. Because what?
The Roku Smart TV in the background is the best part of this whole video right there. She's talking, dancing about her EBT. And you know she's going to become one of these food stamp warriors, these 350-pound food stamp warriors who's drinking 2 liters of Coca-Cola and eating their moon pies. They got to have that. They got to have their freaking sweets, their cakes, their chips, their soda. That was the number one thing that was sold after SNAP benefits came back. Can you believe that? Unreal. Unreal. Cannot believe that. We got some more clips here because not only are people using their SNAP benefits for lashes, not only are they using them for their nails, now you can get fast food with your SNAP benefits. This guy in Baltimore was able to do that.
Somebody told me you come to the junction and they be taking the EBT to food stamps, so we ready to see if I give me a chicken box. So they definitely let me swipe the orange card. This bitch was $14, but we ain't gonna argue. And, you know, catch up, season keep it real simple. You know, not too much. You don't supposed to have to season your shit anyway. And this box of cakes right here, this bitch been right here for like 50 years, bro. I swear to God. Then boom, we went high blood pressure on the chicken. We went diabetes on the beds. I went out of West already oversmoked. Yeah, they could have fried this bitch a little harder, but we gonna see how that shit goes. I'm out of the middle of shit. Once you want.
Ridiculous. This guy just got some hot wings with your money, my money, taxpayer money. Are you kidding me? And I think we got another clip of someone who was getting fast food. And I think she actually, more than that, I think she's helping people understand how they can get fast food. Let's check this out.
Have you heard about the Restaurant Meals Program, better known as the RMP? The RMP program allows SNAP recipients or certain SNAP recipients to purchase cooked meals or prepared meals from restaurants using their EBT card. McDonald's is one of the restaurants that accepts EBT along with Burger King,
McDonald's,
Del Taco,
wow.
Subway, Papa John's, Church's Chicken, and there are a few others. So how do you find one of these fast food restaurants that accept EBT? They usually have a sign up saying they are a participating location that participates in the SNAP Restaurant Meals Program. There are a few requirements for the RMP program, and I think you just have to meet one. You have to be 60 years old or older. be disabled or be homeless or be the spouse of a SNAP recipient that meets one of those qualifications. Now, if you get TANF, you can also use EBT at one of those fast food restaurants I talked about earlier. So what is TANF? Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF. Now, to meet the requirements for TANF, you can have a child that's 18 years old or younger, be pregnant, or be 18 years old or younger, and be head of household. There are a number of states that let you use your EBT card in fast food restaurants. These states include California, Arizona, Illinois, Maryland, New York, Massachusetts, Michigan, Rhode Island, and Virginia. Now, there is a comprehensive list of restaurants outside of the restaurants that I did name, and I will list a few restaurants down here.
What are you talking about, lady? McDonald's, Burger King? You got to be over 60. You got to be disabled. Oh wait, but hey, there's something else for needy families. Needy, that doesn't sound like a needy family. So you got a child that's under 18, okay, and you're pregnant. Okay, so like everyone in America, basically. So I got a needy family. Can I get some of these needy family benefits, this free money? I want to go to Chick-fil-A. Do they take SNAP? Maybe in one of these dim states like California, maybe they'll take it. Maybe In-N-Out will take it. We can get some SNAP in California. Probably don't even have to show a driver's license in California. Unreal, these SNAP benefits. Well, we're going to shift now from the SNAP benefits mayhem to this outrageous just lunacy. We're going to shift over to ICE in Charlotte this past week. They made waves across America, deporting thousands of illegal immigrants. So we're just going to see some reaction clips here from this past week.
In Charlotte should make every American stop what they're doing. Because if shit like...
Well, I guess I get to be the fucking dick today. Just stop. Quit with the fucking virtue signaling. Americans every single day are arrested and none of you are throwing a fucking temper tantrum. So what you're saying is illegals should be above the law, but American citizens shouldn't. They came here illegally. They're fucking criminals. Get their asses gone. I don't give a shit if they're at church or if they're at home. I don't care if they're at work or if they're sitting on a fucking street corner. This is what I voted for. Bunch of virtue signaling fucking vaginas out here doing this shit for clicks and fucking views. Maybe if your Democrat Party didn't leave the borders wide ass open, we wouldn't have to remove the cocksuckers. Also, I didn't see this same fucking motivation when Obama was shipping them out by the masses. I love all of you. Enter legally or don't enter at all. I'm your Huckleberry.
Oh, man, what a guy. Love that guy.
No way! Hey, apá!
Get away from your dad!
Apaga la troca, güey. Hey, put the gun down. That's my dad.
Cool. Stay back.
Please, that's my dad.
Stay back. Leave him alone.
No prende la troca. Apá. Apá.
Leave him alone.
No. That's my dad,
No. Let's go.
Apá, vete, güey. Corre, apá. Hey, that's my dad. That's my dad, bro. That's my dad. That's okay, man. Please, that's my dad. Don't do that. That's my dad. You're hurting him. No, we're not hurting him. Yes, you are. He's on the floor. Yeah.
Well, that's enough of that. You're hurting him. You're hurting him. You're not hurting him. I mean, they're arresting him because he's an illegal immigrant. He needs to get deported. That's why. Yeah, it's his dad. I understand. I understand the reaction and how you're upset. But your dad should have been a little bit more responsible before he came in to our country illegally. It would be the same thing. I've said it before. I would love to see anyone watching here who wants to challenge me go cross the border into Canada and see how long you last. See if they're okay with you staying there. Because I guarantee you, this is exactly what would happen to you. You'd be arrested, jailed, and then deported back to your country. And that's what we're doing here. We're not taking people that are, against us, or we're not trying to silence political adversaries. No, taking illegal immigrants. And when you're an illegal immigrant, that means you're a criminal, and we're deporting them. That's what's going on. That's all that's going on. There's no, just like that guy said earlier, this is virtue signaling, acting like this is such a big deal that these people are getting arrested when American citizens get arrested every single day and you don't say a word about it. And yet these illegal immigrants are going to get arrested and you're going to raise hell. Where's the America first? Where's the patriotism? Where did it go? We need to get back to being a patriotic country, flying the American flag with no shame, singing the Star-Spangled Banner, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and not omitting under God. That's what we need to do. We need to get back to America first, America only. Now, just for sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move forward to our next segment, the local spotlight. We got two big stories that we're going to be talking about tonight. First big story is I wanted to give everyone an update on my hometown football team, the St. Clair Bulldogs. They are now the District 3 champions, baby. We beat St. Charles West, and now we're still in the playoffs. You can see right here, we are in those quarterfinals, I believe. We got St. Clair is going to be playing Osage, the Osage Indians there, tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the quarterfinals. And if they win, they'll actually be in the Final Four. This is a big deal because last week, this public school, St. Clair High School, beat a private school, a private institution, which does not happen too often. These private schools have a lot more money to pay for these and draft these students, and St. Clair beat their butts. And now we got to take on the Osage Indians tomorrow to continue on to the Final Four to try to get into the semifinals and ultimately the state finals for the Missouri high school football teams there. So just wanted to spotlight that. That's a great local spotlight, especially for me here at home in St. Clair. Go Dogs. Can't wait to see you all win tomorrow against the Osage Indians. And this next story actually just came right across my desk before we hit live. I think it was this week sometime, if not last night even, where in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I'm from, in St. Louis, Missouri, we had a guy get shot and killed. And so we've got quite the story here that's developing at the St. Louis airport. There was a knife-wielding man, as you can see there. You mind clicking that article down there too, so we can check that out? A knife-wielding man assaults people, tries to run after these officers, and ultimately, he gets gunned down. Here we go. Knife wielding man. The officer-involved shooting happened around 1:05 a.m. local time at St. Louis Airport. Police officers were conducting routine security checks in Terminal 1 and encountered an adult male with a knife in Terminal 1. Oh my gosh. According to St. Louis County Police, the suspect refused to drop the weapon and was tased by one police officer. Oh man, we got some ads playing. There we go. We'll just mute that. St. Louis. Oh, you're okay, Nick. Well, we saw the St. Louis County police officers there reacted to the man wielding the knife. And they gunned him down. So is this a reaction to the protests in Dearborn? Is this a reaction to the political climate? Why did this man act out like this in the airport? Why is he trying to attack people? What is going on? I mean, the chaos in airports is just continuing to rise. Even this week, I just saw a man on a flight in the UK was tackled to the ground and held down because he said that he had a bomb on the plane. It was completely fake and false. He didn't have it, but he made the threat just like this guy made the threat. And it's better to be safe than sorry when someone's making a threat like that, because you never know. So we have these local spotlights that we just covered. We have St. Clair Bulldogs moving forward to the semifinals in the Missouri State High School playoffs. And then we have a knife-wielding man at the St. Louis Lambert Airport trying to attack people in Terminal 1 is gunned down, killed because of his actions. Well, folks, we're going to transition to the last segment of the show, my favorite segment, that is Faith in the Fire. And today, we're going to be covering Romans 13, taking a look at some verses, a passage from Scripture. Just opening up my Bible here. Again, this is Romans 13 that we're going to be taking a look at in Faith in the Fire segment. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for joining us. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone. Share it with a left-wing lunatic. Share it with a fellow conservative, with your group chat. Appreciate all of the support. Go ahead, send a gift in now. Send a subscription in now. 100% of the proceeds goes right back into the podcast. Appreciate your support. And before we jump into the Faith in the Fire, you know what else is fire? Is Fuegos Amigos Salsa. Fuegos Amigos Salsa, we believe that our great salsas are more than just a taste. More than just a taste. They are a way to nourish our bodies, our community, and our future. Our vision goes beyond creating bold, vibrant flavors. We're committed to supporting health, wellness, and connection within the communities that we serve. Each jar of salsa is packed with fresh, natural ingredients designed to fuel your body and bring people together in a meaningful way. That is Fuegos Amigos Salsa. You can grab your jar at fuegosamigos.com. That's fuegosamigos.com. And this week, they actually just announced they'll be releasing bigger jars for the same price. So larger jars, more salsa for the same amount of money. That's putting Americans first. That's what I'm talking about. You want to support the show, go to fuegosamigos.com and get your jar of salsa right now. 2 amazing flavors, OG and mango habanero. Fuegos Amigos Salsa, fuegosamigos.com. Getting into Faith in the Fire, Romans 13. Want to read a couple verses to you here tonight. In Romans chapter 13, we're going to start in verse 1, read verses 1 and 2, and then we are going to skip down to 5 and 6. So Romans 13 says, let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. I'm going to jump down here to verses 5 and 6, I believe. Therefore, one must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. For because of this, you will also pay taxes, for the authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them. Well, quite the scripture there, and these verses shake up a lot of people's views, because this is scripture telling us that we need to be true patriots, right? This verse gets constantly misused by weak pastors and woke politicians more than almost any scripture in the New Testament. Here's what it's really saying. It's saying God raises up leaders, and he also removes them. And so respecting the office is respecting God's sovereignty. The second thing is that submission does not mean silence. Peter and John said that we must obey God rather than men. And so just because you submit to the authorities doesn't mean you can't push back, doesn't mean you can't speak up, doesn't mean you can't tell them you disagree with them even. Submission does not mean silence. And third, the rulers are called ministers of God. These rulers are appointed by God, and therefore they're carrying out God's plan. They are the ministers of God's plan. And if they stop serving the good and start serving evil, the honor is forfeited and God will remove him, just like he removed the wicked kings of Israel and replaced them with holy kings in the Old Testament. So hear me tonight as I read through these verses, as I'm talking about this. Patriotism is not idolatry. It can become idolatry, but in itself, it's not idolatry. Patriotism is obedience. It's obedience to God. It's obedience to his word. And when you fly that flag, when you fly this flag right here, Old Glory, when you vote with your convictions, when you raise your kids with honor, you're honoring God who gave you this nation, who gave you these freedoms. That's who you're honoring. You're not honoring President Trump. You're not honoring Chuck Schumer. You're not honoring AOC. You're not honoring Randy Fine or Thomas Massey or Marjorie Taylor. You're not honoring these humans. No, you're honoring God. That's what you're doing when you're patriotic. That's what you're doing when you support your country, when you vote, when you speak up and speak out, when you say no to abortion, when you say no to foreign governments first, and when you say yes to America first. Again, fly that flag, you vote with your convictions, raise your kids with honor. You're honoring God. You're honoring this nation. Well, all right, chat. That's all the show that I have for you tonight. That's everything that I've prepared to you, but I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear right now. Share this with someone so that they can come in and interact with us. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Saudi Arabia coming to the White House? What do you think about the H-1B scam? What do you think about the Snap chaos? What do you think about all of it, right? You know, the Rumble rants will get priority, so you can submit a Rumble rant right now for $1, and all proceeds will go right back into the show. You can send a subscription in or a gift, or you can just throw something in the chat and I might talk about it. let's take a look at what's going on in the chat. I'm going to throw the chat up on the screen here in a moment, but let's see what you got. Throw some stuff in the chat right now. Going to put the chat here. We need to find out who Bubba is. That's right. Be the difference. We do need to find out who Bubba is, because all that we know about Bubba is what we have from the current Epstein files, and Bubba seems to be Bill Clinton. So was Trump blowing Bill Clinton? I don't know. Allegedly. I mean, this would be huge news. Huge news, right? It's either huge news or it's fake news. One of those. One or the other. Is Trump gay then? Hey, that's what we don't know. What's going on? Are all these politicians gay? Is this a homosexual ring of politicians? Just going through the chat here. Get the Muslims out of America, Valiant Bird says. Look up the Islamic dilemma. America first. That's right. America was founded on biblical principles, they said. Someone in the chat says. We got from Green Sharks here says, let's make some noise. America first. That's right. America first. America only. Baby. America first. America only. Taking some questions now. If you want to ask some questions, throw them in the chat. Want to hear from you. Want to see, is there anything that I missed this week? Is there anything important that we didn't talk about? Just going through quite the show we had, it looks like, in the chat room. America is filled with wang-affs. So I'll let you figure out what that is. What's Chuck Schumer's net worth? Oh, what's Chuck Schumer's net worth? $85 million, actually. That's what it is. Chuck Schumer's worth $85 million. What a scam artist. Him and Pelosi scamming the American people, scamming everyone. While their net worth goes up, our wages goes down. Well, it looks like our producer's pulling something up here, actually. So I don't know what he's pulling up, but I want to throw it to this, whatever he's pulling up. And if we can get some appreciation in the chat for our producer, Nick, let's just give it up. Woo! We want to hear it. We want to hear it for Nick, the producer. He's doing such a great job. Let's just hear that applause. That's right. Applause from the audience. And let's go ahead and throw it to this.
Economy. You have MAGA on the one side. And what does this even stand for anymore? You got MAGA on one side. What does that even mean? Make America great for who? Make it great for Israel, Indian immigrants, Chinese students, illegal farm workers. Make America great again for them. Make Israel great. Make America great for the global empire, defense contractors, big pharma, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, Palantir. You got MAGA on the one side. And like I said, Brandy Fine, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. And then on the other side, you got America first. No ambiguity, no ifs, ands, or buts. What does that mean? America first. Americans first. America
only.
America first is our credo. Americanism, not globalism, is the credo. Tucker, Fuentes, Candace, Marjorie, Thomas Massey, Dan Bilzerian, Myron, Jake Shields, Lucas Gage, all the greats, all the usual suspects. That's the question. Aiden Ross, Sneeko. Yay. This is the dichotomy. What are you for? Are you with America first or are you with MAGA? I think after this month, after this year, 2025 is the year that MAGA died. This is the year that this hat is no longer controversial. The hat is not edgy. The hat is not provocative. It doesn't even mean anything. This hat is
I don't know
dead.
about that.
This hat is dead. Now, metaphorically,
a little provocative. People don't really like
this
it.
is the future. America first is
People
the future.
really don't like the America first hat. That's for sure.
Unambiguous, direct, actually has denotative meaning. America first is the credo. So anyway, we'll talk about all that. That'll be our featured story. That's kind of been the message for 10 years, guys.
We saw there Nick Fuentes talking about MAGA dying, like we were talking about earlier, and America First coming to full fruition in the conservative movement. Now, I don't know if MAGA is not controversial anymore. I don't know about that. Still pretty controversial. Not a lot of people are going to be happy with you wearing this hat, but the America First hat, people are really not going to be happy about you wearing that hat because of these left-wing lunatics trying to cancel people, because of these left-wing right, these moderate rights trying to cancel people. And instead, we need to find common ground in the conservative movement, find things where we can put Americans first, America only, help the natural-born citizens born here, deport these illegal immigrants, make our wages higher, and fight the oligarchy, fight these corporate, greedy losers. We have to fight them, not physically fight them, but politically fight them and overcome them with these America First policies. Well, we've had quite the show tonight. Big show. This is going to be the new pre-Groyper show every Friday night. I'm going to be streaming live here on Rumble. Be sure to always tune in here at 8 p.m. Central Time. We've had a lot that we've talked about tonight. A lot. We broke down Epstein's list countdown, the immigration chaos, the divide with MAGA over foreign influence, the snap meltdown, the Bulldogs' victory here locally. And we grounded this whole show in Romans 13 in Christ. And so I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping the faith, for staying grounded, and for walking in freedom. It's America first, America only. Christ is king, and we only deliver straight talk. Well, we'll see you here next week at 8 p.m. Central Time for episode 8 of Straight Talk. See you next week.